Hi everyone, welcome to another tutorial. My name is Agnes, just in case you're new to the channel. Today we are going to be doing this butterfly cardigan. I used the bean stitch, which gives it this really good texture, and I just added butterflies to to make it pop, and I think it looks pretty. I hope you love it just like I do. So I'll be telling you how I made it. It's easy basically. So the bean stitch is way easier than the alpine stitch, so you should be able to make this. You can call it a bomber jacket, you can call it a cardigan, you can call it whatever you want. As for me, I'll be calling it the butterfly cardigan. Alright, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And these are our materials. It is a tape measure. You need a tape measure. You will need a yarn needle. I used two hook sizes. This is a 3mm hook. I used this for the ribbing and for the butterflies. Okay, so 3mm hook for the ribbing and the butterflies. And then I used a 5.0mm hook for the rest of the part, which is the bean stitch part. I used the 5.0. You'll need scissors, and then you'll need this yarn. It is size 3 yarn or medium weight yarn for the butterflies. And for the cardigan, I used chunky yarn. It is 3-ply seal acrylic yarn. I used about 7 of these, I think. Yeah, it's 100 grams each ball. So get your chunky yarn, and we will start right away. Okay, so this is how we're going to work this cardigan. We'll start with the back panel. We'll have the back panel, and then once we're done with the back panel, we'll do the front panels, which are two similar identical panels, and then we'll do the sleeves also, which are similar panels, and then join them together. Once we've, you see like how we joined here, once we joined everything together, then that's why we'll work the ribbing, bottom ribbing, and then the ribbing in the front that goes around the neck downwards, and then we'll finish with the butterflies. Okay, so these are the measurements that I'm using for my panels. So a size extra small, so take note of that. So I'll start with the back panel, and we start using the 5.0mm hook. So we'll start with the foundation chain. You are going to make a slip knot, and you are going to make chains. Okay, for this is the back panel. So for this I made chains equivalent to my shoulder measurements, which are 15, and then plus 3 inches, make it 18 inches. All right, so as you can see, I have my 18 inches. Okay, so it's my shoulder measurements plus 3 inches, making it 18. So chain one more. You make a multiple of 2 and then add 1 chain, a multiple of 2 and then add 1 chain. So we're going to skip this first chain and work into the first 2 chains, and then work into the third chain, and you make a single crochet like that. Don't finish it, then yarn over, go into the same chain and make a half double crochet. Do not finish it, so you have 4 loops on the hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops. So that's our first bean. Then you chain 1, skip the next chain, and go into the chain after that, make a single crochet. Do not complete it, like that. Yarn over in the same chain, make a half double crochet. Do not complete it. You have 4 loops, then finish through all the 4 loops, chain 1, and make the same pattern. So it's single crochet and finished, half double crochet and finished, 4 loops on the hook, then pull through all, then chain 1. So do not forget to chain 1. It's very important. You chain 1, skip 1 chain. Okay, so watch what I'm doing. This is how it looks. Okay, so it's chain 1, skip 1 chain, incomplete single crochet in the next chain, incomplete half double crochet in the same chain, and then pull through all. Do that till the end. So I'm at the end. This is how it looks like. Please do not forget to chain a 1 or skip. Okay, it's very important. So row 2 we are going to chain 1. Sorry, I'm finishing my row. This is my last one. Okay, this is my last bin. Yeah, that's it. So chain 1, chain 2, and then turn your work. So for every beginning of the row you will chain 2. Okay, so you're going to turn your work, and we are going, you see this space right here, we have these 2 spaces, so we'll be working in the first space. Okay, there you see it. So in the first space is where we are working, in the first space. So go in with a bin stitch, that is a single crochet that is incomplete, then a half double crochet that is incomplete in that same chain space, and then pull through all, chain 1, go into the next space right there, you see, incomplete single crochet, incomplete half double crochet, pull through all like that, then chain 1. So do not forget to chain a 1. Okay, go into the next space like that. In the first space is where we are working, so this is how it is. Do that until you get to the end of this row. Same pattern. It is as simple as that. This stitch is simple, yet the texture is so beautiful, so you should be able to do it with no difficulty, because it's quite easy. So it's a chain 1 single crochet that is incomplete, then a half double crochet that is incomplete, and then pull through all the 4 loops like that. Okay, I'll meet you at the end of this row. Yeah, I'm at the end. You see how it looks. This is my last bin. So in that very last space you see there, you are going to work your last bin. Then you chain 2 and start your 3rd row. So this is basically going to be the pattern for all the panels. Okay, so in that very first space there, make your first bin like that, chain 1, go into the next space, make your bin, and you are going to do this for this row and the rest of the rows, okay, until you have your desired length of the back panel before the ribbing. So it depends on how you want your how long you want your cardigan to be. Okay, I'll continue doing this. I'll come and tell you how many inches of mine that I made. Okay, it's a very simple stitch. Okay, see you once you are done with this panel. I'm done with my back panel. As you can see, this is how it looks like, and I did 12.5 inches long. So it's 18 inches at the bottom from side to side, and then 12.5 inches long. Okay, so we are now going to work on the front panels, which are 2. You can notice it did stretch a little bit, almost about 19.5, yet I had 18, so take that in mind. It kind of stretches my yarn. Yeah, so we work on the front panels. I already did 1. Okay, so there should be 2 identical ones. So for my panels, I took my back panel measurement, subtract 4 inches, and then divide by 2. So make a slip knot, and I'm going to make chains equivalent to 7 inches. So each of my back panel is 7 inches from the start, you know, from side to side. So 7 plus 7, that's 14. subtract the 4 inches, plus the 4 inches that I did for the neckline, that's 18. Okay, so this is my 7 inches. This is for one panel, 7 inches. Okay, so they should be identical. Even the other one will be 7 inches, same number of stitches, same number of chains. Okay, so I'm going to skip the first two, going to the third one and make a bin that is a single crochet that is unfinished, and then a half double crochet that is unfinished. I have 4 loops on my hook, then pull through all the 4 loops, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, go into the next chain and make your second bin. You already know the drill. We did the other already did the other back panel, which is the same pattern. So you are going to do this for this front panel, and it is the same height as the back panel. So I did 7 by 12.5 inches. So at the bottom it is 7 inches, and lengthwise it is 12.5. Then I'll go ahead and do the next front panel, same thing, 7 by 12.5. Okay, yeah, so do 2 panels. Then once I'm done, I'll do the sleeves, which is 15 by 18 inches, and do 2 sleeves, same pattern, same everything, and I will meet you once you have all the panels so that we can join them. So I have my 5 pieces ready. These are the front panels. They are 2, very identical, same number of stitches, same number of length. This is the back panel that I did first, and then I have, when you put the front panels, this is how it should look like. I had 4 inches in between, about 4 inches, 4 to 5 inches in between the 2 panels. Okay, so like I said, I went ahead and did the sleeves, which was 15 by 18 inches for my XS size, extra small size. This is how it looks. Okay, so you should have 2 of these. Okay, so it's 15 at the bottom and 18 as you go up. Okay, so this is one of our sleeves. This is how it looks like. Okay, so we'll fold it like this. Okay, so this is our other sleeve, very identical, they are all the same. So yeah, like this. Then we are going to join them on the sides just to make the sleeve before we do the ribbing. So we are going to join the sleeves together, one by one, then attach them to the rest of the cardigan, and that's when we'll do the ribbing. Okay, so you should have 5 pieces ready for joining. You can check my measurements at the beginning of the video in case you want to recheck. All right, so I'm going to use this yarn needle. I already put in my yarn just to sew everything together. Okay, so I'll start with the front panels, sewing them to the back panel. So I'll start at the top, at the shoulder part. Okay, and I don't know what method you use for sewing things together. This is of course I have the wrong side out, so I'm just going to go through both panels with my needle and thread and attach them together just like this. I'm going in every stitch, both the front panel and the back panel, in every stitch. In case you don't have a needle, you can do this using a single crochet or a slip stitch. It should work just fine. Yeah, so I see once you're done. I'm done, and this is how it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks like, and I will fasten this off. And then cut your yarn, and you will go ahead and do the other side. This is how it looks like. So go ahead and do the other side, and I will meet you once you have both sides. Yeah, I have everything attached, the two panels to the back panel, and now we are going to do the sleeves. Okay, I'm not someone that makes everything so accurate, so for the sleeves you are just going to, you know, fold them. The longer part, of course, is where the arm is, so, and then sew the sleeve together like this, just like we did with the other part, but now this is the sleeve. So for this time we are not going in every stitch, but in every row. I think I'm putting 2 stitches in every row, or 1, it doesn't matter, just try make it neat. Okay, I'm never so accurate, like, you know, you have to have only 2 stitches or 1 stitch in every row. As long as it can hold together, then that's cool and it looks neat. So go ahead and sew this sleeve along, and then I'll meet you once you have your 2 sleeves ready to attach to the other parts of the cardigan. All right, so I have my sleeve ready. This is how it looks like. This is the wrong side of it. It's ready to be attached. So do the other sleeve too, and we are now going to attach them to this. Like I said, I'm not accurate, so get some of that stitch markers. I got a different color. I'm not accurate, I don't count stitches or anything, so what I will do is align my sleeve to the cardigan like that, from top to bottom, very nicely like that, and where my sleeve ends I'll put a stitch marker right down there. So you see, aligned very nicely together like that. Down here I will put my stitch marker, so the top part will be our armhole, and then we'll sew the bottom part together. Like I said, I don't like being so accurate. I don't count stitches that much, so yeah, this will do. So, but if you want, you can count your stitches that are around your sleeve and then make an armhole with the same stitches. So I'll go ahead and do the other same for the other side, put a stitch marker, and let's attach this sleeve. So I'll insert it in like this. It fits, right? So I have my stitch marker there. So we are going to join this lower part together and until where we have our stitch marker. Okay, just use your yarn needle to sew it together until where we have our stitch marker. so that the rest of the part from the stitch marker to the shoulder part will be our armhole, and that's where we are going to attach our sleeves. So just sew it together till where you have your stitch marker. I'll meet you right there. Alright, so I sewed it together until where my stitch marker was. So now I'm going to insert the sleeve. So like this from the inside, you see, this is how you're going to insert your sleeve. You're still working on the wrong side. Okay, align it together nicely like that, and we are going to sew it together, leaving the armhole. Okay, so I remove my stitch marker and I will just sew around the armhole, sewing the sleeve to the front panel and the back panel, you know, all around. Okay, just like this. So go around until you're back down here. Okay, so this is how it looks. So if I do like this, I'm now on the right side, and that's how it will look like. Okay, so yeah, go ahead and do the other side, same thing, and I'll meet you once you have both of your sleeves together, so that we can do the ribbing part. Okay, all right. So once you have everything sewed together, this is how it should look like. Okay, this is how it looks like. Now we do the ribbing. So I already have one of my sleeves ribbed already. I have the ribbing already, so I'll show you how I did that on this other sleeve. So you are going to take your smaller hook size. So for me, it's going to be the 3.0 millimeter hook. This is what I'm going to be using for the ribbing. Okay, all right, so you have your smaller hook. We are going to attach right here where we're beginning and where we sewed the two sides together, and you are going to make chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chains, and my first one, which was the 10th. Okay, so you're going to yarn over. We're going to be using half double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, skip that very first one, and into the next chain, make a half double crochet. So skip the first chain into the next one, make a half double crochet, go into the next chain. I'm using the 3.0 millimeter hook. Okay, go into the next chain, make a half double crochet. That's 2, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's my last one, the 9th. So this is where my first bean is. So I'm going to go into the next bean, skip the first bean, right? Go into your second bean and slip stitch there. Okay? Skipped my first bean, went into the second bean and slip stitched. Okay? So I'm going to slip stitch into the next bean, which is my third bean. Okay? And then into my fourth bean, make a slip stitch. Okay, right? So skipped one, slip stitched into the next 3. Okay, so turn my work, yarn over, and on top of that very first double crochet, we are working only in the back loop. So only in the back loop. So in the back loop of that very first half double crochet, I'm going to make a half double crochet. So that's 1, that's 2, only in the back loop. That's my third half double crochet. 4, 5. I'm going to go down until I have 9, 6, 7, 8, and my last one, which is the 9th. Okay, so I have 9 half double crochets that we had for the first row. So chain 2, turn your work into the first varied half double crochet, make a half double crochet. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the last one, which is our 9th. This is always a bit difficult, and that's 9. Okay, so you have a very 9 half double crochets only in the back loop. So you're going to skip one bean, right? Skip the first bean. Okay, skip this, mark where you left off. Okay, so skip the first bean and slip stitch into your next bean. Okay, so that's one first slip stitch. Make your second slip stitch in the next bean and your third slip stitch in your next bean. So you have 3 slip stitches. Turn your work and work half double crochets only in the back loop. I'll have a total of 9 half double crochets. So go back up, then get down, repeat the same pattern. So it's skip 1, slip stitch in the next 3 beans, skip 1, slip stitch in the next 3 beans. Okay, so do that until you have your sleeves. You get to the end and I'll come show you how we join it together. So I'm done. This is how it looks like, and we need to join it together. Since we were working on the right side, I'm now going to turn this inside out so that we join it together on the wrong side. So I'll pull this through. and we're going to join this using slip stitches. Okay, finally got it. So I'm going to pass my hook through that chain at the bottom, and pull this yarn through. And then I'm going to make a slip stitch in every stitch, both sides. Like that until we get to the top. Okay. So make a slip stitch in every stitch until you get to the top, and you will have your sleeve ribbing. So I'm done. This is how it looks like. You'll cut off your yarn, you'll sew in the ends later. So turn this back to the right side. Yeah, this is how it looks. Okay, so it's a bit stretchy so that your hand can be able to go through. So go ahead, do the other side, and I will meet you once you're done so that you can do the bottom ribbing. Okay, so because it's a bit different. Okay. So for the bottom, I'm going to do a longer ribbing, more than 9 chains, but this is totally up to you. You can do it short, you can do it longer, depends on what you prefer. So we are going to reattach our yarn right at this corner. Okay, and I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, so skip the first one into the second one, make a half double crochet, 2 half double crochets, 3 half double crochets, and I'm going to do this until I get to the top. Okay, so it's the same pattern, a bit different though. So I'm at the top now. This is where it gets different. Okay, so this is our first bean. Okay, right there. So I'll make a slip stitch in our first bean. Remember the previous one was skipping, now we were not skipping. So go into your next bean, make a second slip stitch, go into your third bean and make a third slip stitch. Okay, turn your work and make half double crochets in every stitch until you get to the end. So for this one we did 3 slip stitches in 3 bean stitches. Okay, but our next step is going to be different, so take note of that. So here we did 3 slip stitches in 3 bean stitches without skipping any, unlike our sleeve part. Okay, for this first part. So our next part is going to be slightly different. All right, so I'm at the bottom now. You're going to chain 1 and chain 2, then turn your work, and we are going to work half double crochets in the back loop. Make sure you have the same number of stitches. Once you get to the top, I will show you what we do different from our first 2 rows. So this is because here we are not decreasing so much. like we did for the sleeves. Okay, so that's my last stitch, is it? Always count them and make sure you have the exact number of stitches. Okay, so I'm not skipping any bean, I'm going straight into my first bean stitch. Okay, next bean stitch, make your second slip stitch and turn your work. So I've only made 2 slip stitches. My first 2 rows I made 3 slip stitches. In this next 2 rows I made only 2 slip stitches. Have you noticed that? First one was 3 slip stitches, now this was only 2. So do that, go it to the end, turn your work around and come back up. And now for the next pair of rows, we are going to go back to what we did before. So where we did 3 slip stitches. Okay, so the pattern is going to be like that. First 2 rows was 3 slip stitches, second 2 rows was 2 slip stitches. The next 2 rows will be 3 slip stitches, and then the ones that come after that 2 slip stitches. So you're going to be alternating between 3 and 2 so that your jacket is not very wide and it's not very tight at the bottom, just fits nicely like how you see mine in the pictures. Okay, so here we're going to go in, this is where we had our last one, so go into our next one and make a slip stitch. So that's 1. Okay, that's our first one, and here we are going to do 2 more. That's our second one and our third one, like that. Okay, then turn your work and go back down, come back up. Once you come up again, you'll only do 2 slip stitches. So then go down, come back again, and then do 3 slip stitches. So you're going to be alternating like that until you go across the whole bottom to the other side. Okay, remember to alternate 3 and 2, 3 and 2, 3 and 2 all along. Okay, I'll see you once you're done with your bottom ribbing. So I'm done with my bottom ribbing and this is how it looks like. Okay, so we're now going to do the ribbing on the sides along the neckline, and this is also going to be different. It's going to be different from the sleeve and from the bottom ribbing. So you're going to reattach your yarn from the bottom. I didn't cut off my yarn, so I'm going to chain. I already have my 1 chain, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, then 10. Yarn over, skip that first one, go into the next one and make a half double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 half double crochet. So we are going to attach this to this ribbing. So I'm going to skip this first stitch and the next one, then go into my 3rd stitch and make a slip stitch. So I skipped 2 stitches, went into my 3rd stitch and made a slip stitch, then go into my next stitch, make a slip stitch, next stitch, make a 3rd slip stitch, then turn my work and work 9 half double crochets in the back loop. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Sorry, it's 8 and not 9, so it's 8. Then chain 1, turn your work and work half double crochets, 8 of them across to the other side. Skip the first one and the second one, and to the third stitch make a slip stitch. Okay, then go ahead into your next stitch, make a slip stitch, and to the third one make a slip stitch, turn your work downwards. So you're going to repeat this until you're done with this part of the ribbing. So once you're done with this part of the lower ribbing and you get to the part where we have our bean stitches, okay, then I'll come show you how we work the bean stitches, the ribbing on the bean stitches. All right, so I'm done with this part, okay, and I'm going to close this off on so that bean stitch right there in that space, that's where I'm going to make a slip stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go into our second bean stitch there. It's like a row, so it's on top of the second row. That's our first row, then second row. So on top of that second row I'll make my slip stitch, my second one, and then turn my work. So we are only, for this part, we're only working 2 slip stitches, only 2. So go make my 8 half double crochets, only in the back loop. We are working only in the back loop. Once I have 8, chain 1, turn my work and work 8 towards the top. Six, 7 and 8. And 8. So I'm going to go into this, and this is where I worked. So into the next row, on top of that next row, and make a slip stitch. So going to on top of that next row right there and make my second slip stitch. It's hard to go in. So turn my work and work half double crochets in the back loop until the bottom. Okay, so once you get to the bottom, chain 1, turn your work and come back up, slip stitch in top of that next same pattern on top of every row, slip stitch on top of every row, 2 slip stitches, turn your work, 2 slip stitches, turn your work. Okay, yeah, do that all until you get to the top here. Okay, and then go, yeah, like that. And we are now going to work on this top part behind your neck, shoulder to shoulder, because it's a bit different. So this is how we'll work it. This is how we joined our two panels. Okay, so we are going to go right in there and make a slip stitch. So here we have we don't have the rows, but we have the stitches. Okay, so we're going to go into this bin stitch first, that space, and make a slip stitch. Okay, then turn our work and work downwards. So for this part at the top, it will be one bin stitch at a time. So go here, come back up and slip stitch in the next bin stitch. Okay, in this space right here is where I will make my slip stitch. That's my first. Then go into the next space and make my second slip stitch. Sorry, into the second I'm so tired. Into the second chain, I mean stitch. So go downwards, come back up, Alright, so we are going to go into this chain space, into this space, slip stitch, go on top of that next bin, slip stitch, and turn your work, then go downwards, and you are going to repeat this pattern until you get to the other side where we have here we're working in the back panel, so get to the other side where we have the side panel again, then just repeat what we're doing on before. Okay, so for here it is in the chain space, then on top. Okay, chain space, then on top, chain space, then on top. Okay, 2 slip stitches. Once you get to the side, it will be in every row. So once you get down here, it will change again back to every row until you get to the bottom. Once you get to the bottom, do what we did at the bottom. Okay, so yeah, this is how it looks. We are done with the ribbing. You should have something looking like this. Yeah, so if you don't want the butterflies, I think you can be done. But if you want these beautiful butterflies, then you are going to go ahead and make them. I used a tutorial. I'm not going to tell you how I did it, but you go watch this tutorial. She used the Tunisian stitch. I'm going to link the tutorial link in the comment section and in my description box. It's the most beautiful butterfly I saw on YouTube, so this is the link that I'm going to give you. This is her channel. She's called Grass something. Yeah, I'll link it. So make these beautiful butterflies, or you can make any other that you like. I did 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. Those are 6, and then I do 2 for each sleeve, so I made a total of 10 butterflies. If you don't like this and would want something else, that's totally up to you. Alright, so get your yarn needle. You have your 10 butterflies or more. I wanted to put one at the back, but I decided, you know what, it will be too much. So just put them in the position that you want them to be. Okay. And we are going to sew them to the cardigan. We are going to sew all around the sides of the butterfly. Okay, for the butterflies, check the links in my comment section and in my description box. So this is how we're going to do it. I'll just go in from below with my yarn needle the easiest way I can. I'm not good at this, but I'm sewing all along the edge of the butterfly, just like this, just to secure it to the cardigan. So this is basically what I'm doing, just along the edges, everywhere along the edges. All right, so you're going to do this all around the butterfly. Once you're done, cut off your yarn, sew in your ends, and you'll do the same for all the butterflies. And I'll see you once you have the butterflies on your cardigan, everything. Okay, so you don't have to put the exact number like I did. Really, you can put 2, you can put them everywhere. It's up to you. Make your own pattern. If you think mine is pretty, then thank you. You can go ahead and do what I did. And yeah, see you once you're done. All right, so I'm done, and this is how your cardigan should look like. I hope it's pretty as mine. I love this cardigan. I really hope you do love it too. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? It's free of charge. Please do subscribe, support this girl. So thanks so much for watching. Share this video. in your groups, WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, everywhere, with even your family groups, I hope. So give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment and tell me, you know, how much you like it, or if you don't like it, just let me know anyway. So I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.